Non-Americans who have been to the US. What is the weirdest thing about America that Americans don't realize is weird? Putting the real estate agent's face on the for sale signs. American here, but something I didn't realize was weird until I traveled out of the country. Some of our coins don't have the denomination value on them. For instance, our 10-cent piece just says 1 dime. How TF are tourists supposed to know how much a dime is worth? Oh well, it's the smallest, so it must be worth the least, right? Wrong. I love our country, lol. They have those angry sinks that chop shit. I'm from the UK and now live in MN. The first thing is how friendly everyone seems to be. It may be the Minnesota nice talking, but seriously, everyone is welcoming and friendly. The first time I flew to the States, I sat next to this American lady and we got talking. I explained I was visiting my partner for the first time and how nervous and excited I was. We talked until we boarded, and then once we landed, she went into mother mode, let me use her phone to call my partner, went through security and baggage claim with me, even walked me out to where my partner was waiting for me, just to make sure I was safe. She then gave me all her details and emphasized that if anything happens, or if I needed any help, I could call her and she'd help me. I found out she worked for St. Jude's, and even though I never needed to call her, knowing I had someone there made me feel so safe, and I really hope she's doing well today. The fact that looking at the news, you'd think they're the angriest, most aggressive people in the world, but when you are there in person, they are, with very few exceptions, very decent and welcoming. I went there for university, and honestly, Americans just do a lot of little things that are generally nice. Holding the door open, smiling if you make eye contact while walking, randomly saying a quick greeting, etc. Random compliments, too. And I never got the vibe that people were just making them up, like some of my friends who haven't been say, if someone complimented someone's clothes, hair, whatever, it seemed like they meant it. They just didn't seem to hold back the random thoughts and said them out loud. I didn't even really notice the door holding thing after the first few days, but when I went back to my country, I actually missed it, lol. Not that I ever expected someone to hold the door even in America, but the absence of it and quick smiles was surprisingly noticeable back home. As a Brit, how amazingly and genuinely friendly you are. How enamored you are with British culture and people. I was invited to a barbecue in a public place by someone that I met because he liked the t-shirt I was wearing. I felt like some sort of celebrity. I'm an average guy, but everyone wanted to chat to me. I've traveled extensively and have met many other nationalities whilst in their country. I've been made to feel welcome in almost all, but how I was treated once my accent was heard in the US was on another level. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. I've had several amazing trips to US. They hold a very special place in my heart. Y'all can strike a conversation with a tree. You literally don't need anyone to respond, and you'll yabber away relentlessly. It's a generalization, as I know there are some quiet Americans, but I was just down in a Publix trying to decide what beer to buy, and some woman's suddenly talking to me about how she met her husband. I love it. I'm a fairly quiet dude. New Zealand's a fairly reserved place. So just being able to stream your consciousness out like that is just something truly remarkable. I married an American. She talks enough for both of us. Americans can strike up a sincere conversation and not be weird about it. No one precedes a question with, sorry to be weird. They don't feel embarrassed if they don't know something. They can listen to you tell a story without jumping in to tell a vaguely similar story related to them. Americans tend to have tremendous social skills, though it's strange because some clearly don't appreciate how fucking nuts they are. Prescription drug ads on TV that casually say, side effects may include death. I was shocked. Edit. The number of people who are simply talking about the legal requirements logic behind the death warning just proves my point. In most other countries, you can't advertise prescription drugs, especially those with egregious side effects that may in fact include death. In my country, you have OTC drugs like cold and headache drugs being advertised, or basic supplements. This wasn't a comment about the death part, just the extent of healthcare corporatization that allows prescription meds to be promoted like candy. Edit 2. Also, the question was about the weirdest thing that's normal in America, so I'm going with the above. That said, many comments are talking about how friendly Americans are, and I completely agree. It's just that while that was surprising, it was a pleasant, lovely surprise. Not weird. You folks are lovely, even if you can buy death candy from TV. Lived in the US for 4 years, and here's some stuff that constantly threw me. Sales tax not being included in the price, got pretty used to it after 4 years, but it still occasionally caught me off guard. Healthcare bills. Tailgating on highway. Even people complaining about tailgaters were themselves often tailgating. Porch sitting. People sitting on their porch and watching passersby. Distances. Drove coast to coast. I thought it would never end. Most men being pretty knowledgeable about cars. Drive-through ATMs. Never stopped being funny to me for some reason. Weirdest thing for me, visiting Madison, Wisconsin, was the absolute top cheese curd selection and cheap and delicious local beer. I actually kind of fell in love with Madison, Wisconsin. It was so beautiful in December. Just quite a small place, but I pictured my life there. Too bad you can't really get a decent job without a doctor's degree there. But yeah, you guys are friendly, mild-mannered, and lovely. Man, now that it's starting to snow in my home country, I'm just thinking about Madison again. You rule, Wisconsinites. Know that. Edit. Wow, this became my most upvoted post. Thank you. Greetings from Finland, y'all. I hope to get back there someday. Somebody mentioned that there's plenty of work in Madison, and I'm sure you're right. I just work in IT, and it might be a bit hard to climb to the stage I'm on with my degree over there. It is sad. I would love to live in a Wisconsin house. Just a slow life would be perfect. Indian with dark brown skin here. Went to Dallas, supposedly hub of white folks hating immigrants, and nowhere I was greeted with angry person, and I rarely saw people carrying guns. People were friendly and forthcoming, completely opposite of what news says. Somewhat weird thing I noticed was how confident majority of people I met were, especially in the situations where they were completely wrong. All minor things, though. For example, it was around 2017 when I went there and tried to pay by tapping the card. This young lady was adamant that it wouldn't work without Google Apple Pay, and I have to insert my card in the slot. The look of surprise on her face was something to look stet when I insisted and shown her it actually worked. But just like all the countries I've visited, news always display worst people when in reality, people are generally fine. Quick edits. First of all, I really don't want to offend anyone or say something I disliked, but rather something out of ordinary because of the expectations. Second, I'm aware of concealed carry, but heard a lot about how people are pushing for open carry as well. So just by going by media, I assumed guns would be abundant and was pleasantly surprised. Third, Card Story was not to highlight technology gap, but rather one weird thing I found how confident Americans are even when they shouldn't be. Again, often outlier for my visit. Fourth, I can totally understand gaps between city and rural areas. I was just recounting my experience. And finally, one of the greatest human moments of my life came in Dallas when I was in Lyft with this lady and her presumably 6 to 7-year-old kid who clearly had ADHD. I'm always afraid of children because I've this feeling I might accidentally hurt them. But this lady not only introduced her kid to me, but encouraged we talk. Now, it may not look very big to anyone else. This was the first time I was talking to someone with ADHD. That too, a kid. And this kid was amazing with so much love when talking. So despite whatever others says, at Dallas will always hold special place in my heart.